missions trip to Benelux. And she's going to have a little presentation and kind of share what she encountered there. Abigail?
Okay, so as many of you know, I had the opportunity to be a part of a youth missions trip to Benelux about 2 weeks ago. And really quick, I want to thank everyone, my church family, and everyone for supporting me with donations and fundraisers and all that. So while we were there, we were able to serve through 3 different countries to spread the gospel. So, next slide. So what is Benelux? Benelux is a union of 3 neighboring countries in Western Europe, which consist of Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. The amount of times that I've had to explain where in the world that is, I ended up giving up and started telling people I'm just going to Europe. So next slide. So the first country that we visited was the Netherlands, and we arrived with open arms waiting for us at the airport when the missionaries waiting for us, the Calhouns, whose church we would be serving through. We were able to tour the surrounding cities and walk the streets of Amsterdam. And then, as you can see in the second picture from the right, the buildings are all slanted, and that's because the ground in the Netherlands is really soft, so over time they start to shift and they have to be later stabilized. So next slide. So we soon left the Netherlands and traveled over to Belgium, and as soon as we walked into the Rock Church in Brussels, Belgium, almost instantaneously our entire group felt a connection to the family, and we soon just, after we got to know them and they shared their burden for the city with us, we fell in love with them, their church, and Brussels. So we were able to see the beauty of the city through tours and lots of walking. Next slide. So lastly, we traveled to Luxembourg, and we were only able to spend about 2 full days there, but we had 2 full days ahead of us. We toured 3 castles and walked through downtown Luxembourg trying to squeeze in souvenir shopping. And although we were able to sightsee and have entirely too much fun and make lifelong friendships, God truly moved in Benelux this summer. Next slide. Our first night, we officially arrived in Hoofddorp, Netherlands. Our chaperone sat us down in a room rented from the hotel, and we planned to have an orientation, but that orientation turned into a 2-hour prayer meeting. The first service that we had was truly orchestrated by God. Our choir had no time to practice, so we had to wing it, but the service and speakers were anointed, and we had a great move of God. Next slide. Okay. Once in Belgium, our mindset had changed, and we started to do outreach in the streets. We would do prayer walks from one side of the capital to the other. We had a gospel concert with over 100 visitors, and 2 received the gift of the Holy Ghost.
Amen. Praise God.
Our only service in Luxembourg, we had a small gathering with a few visitors who had been invited through outreach. We could barely get through our entire set of songs without an outbreak of God's Spirit. And that one service in Luxembourg had 4 more people who received the gift of the Holy Ghost for the first time. God is still working in Benelux. He is moving more than ever before. There is a revival happening there. Next slide. So really quick, I want to share with you an update from the pastor of the Rock Church Brussels. So on the left, it says, praise report. The man with the books on his head came back yesterday at church. He loved the concert, enjoyed what he felt, and wanted more. Let us keep him in our prayers. Outreach works. While we were doing street outreach in Brussels, the man who was balancing books on his head stopped by, and we were able to invite him to our gospel concert. And then on the right is from the first service after our trip was over, and it shows what God is still doing. So before I left for my trip, someone asked me where I was going on my missions trip, and I explained where Benelux was. And as a response, they said, that's not really a place that needs missions. And I didn't know how to respond. Europe isn't the stereotypical missions field. It's not a third world country in need of food and water, but it does have people, and it has lost people. Amen.